With a number of COVID-19 cases on the rise throughout the state of Texas, there have been more and more requests regarding the upcoming school year. While we still don't have all the answers, we'll be publishing episodes weekly to provide what information we do have and keep you updated on the 2021 school year. I am Andrew Kim, Superintendent of Comal Independent School District. Joining me today are Executive Director of Safety and Support, Joe McKenna, and also Executive Director of Communications, Steve Stanford, here with me. Today's topics are pretty simple. One, we want to talk about, just to clarify, the recent Texas Education Agency comments about some waivers that school districts are able to exercise, and there's been a lot of information out there about that. 3 weeks and 6 weeks delays of start, 100% remote. So I'm going to try to clarify that a little bit for those who might be listening. And then a quick update on our pre-committal numbers so that those who are listening to this podcast and know that we still need to get information from our parents about that. And then certainly we want to take the bulk of the time, though, talk about a lot of questions related to, do we have enough supplies on hand? Is cleaning supplies, and all those things for on-campus learning opportunities that we're going to provide for our students on August the 25th. So those are the topics. Hopefully you guys are doing well. I appreciate you guys wearing the mask, and we're in this makeshift podcast studio right now. So let's just jump in, all right? So first, I just want to clarify, there's two recommendations or two waivers that's been issued out. One, the Texas Education Agency has basically given opportunities or authority to local school districts to potentially delay the on-campus portion of the school year by 3 weeks to go 100% remote learning for all kids, regardless of the desire to come to school or not. Now, the technicality is that you're supposed to provide on-campus learning for those kids who want it, though. So there's a lot of disagreements or confusion about that a little bit. So a lot of school districts around the state of Texas have decided to exercise that. I think largely because some school districts were going to start early in the school year, like August the 10th, the 17th, and the 12th, and so on, which essentially would place them out to begin the on-campus portion of it about after Labor Day. But just this week, the Texas Education Agency modified that by now giving opportunities up to 6 weeks. And so one of the largest school districts, I think maybe the largest, Houston Independent School District, just announced that they will delay 6 weeks and go 100% full remote learning for 6 weeks before they decide to offer in-person or on-campus learning. So that's what they're doing in Houston, I see. Now, one of the interesting caveats to this, which is not maybe getting a lot of attention, is that if you do this, that you also are essentially eliminating extracurricular activities, practices, and so on, which then potentially eliminate some of the fall sports seasons or activities like marching band activities and so on. So a lot of implications and consequences to that. So that's kind of where it's at now. Now, the whole reasoning for this is to give school districts a way to provide remote learning opportunities to get things set up and ready to go. So there's a lot of different reasons, and every school district right now is making their own decisions about this. I will tell you, to our local constituents, the Comal Independent School District is not thinking about this at all. We will start on August the 25th. We will provide remote learning opportunities for those who want to have remote learning opportunities, and we will provide on-campus, in-person learning for those who want to be in school. So to that, Steve, we are running pre-committal numbers. Those are information that we just sent out to parents, started on July the 14th. It will go to July the 20th, which is approaching. We just want to know, basically, hey, parents, what are you thinking right now, right, with what you know? And unfortunately, there's going to be changes on a day-to-day basis. It's unfortunate, but what what are you going to commit to right now? Non-binding, of course, but Steve, what's the numbers that we've gotten so far right now at this particular point?
Well, yeah, we've gotten probably representing just over 7,600 kids, students And right now we're looking right about 62% are indicating that they're going to come on campus for on-campus instruction, with about, the rest of them, 38%, taking the remote learning. I think it's real important to reemphasize what you said earlier about this is a pre-committal. This is not your final decision. We're going to come back on August 11th. And so there'll be an opportunity, for you to evaluate the situation. A lot of questions are coming in with this. So, people are making decisions, but they're also asking a lot of questions and, help make that decision. What I'd like to just say is, make the decision based off what you know now and what you would, if your questions were answered in the way that you would like them to be answered, what would you go with?
Right.
Knowing that the answer that we may be giving is different than what you would like to hear. And then, but that's where you got that other opportunity to come back in August 11th to make a different choice if you feel.
Yeah.
But it's really important that we get this information, not just to know where the numbers are, but really so we can start looking at allocating resources for our remote learners and our teachers and everything, and get things scheduled and planned. That's why we're doing this.
Right. And that's really important to really try to figure out. Should we set aside some teachers for remote learners only? Should we incorporate teachers for everything else? So we are trying to manage a whole bunch of things. So knowing this a little bit will give us some guidance on how do we manage this. Of course, after August 11th, which will begin the final decision, we had to scramble pretty quick to really figure that out at that particular point.
Right, but this will give us a lot. At least we can get some pre-planning done.
Yeah.
Before that. One thing I also want to point out for those that are listening that are saying, "Well, wait a minute, I didn't get that email. I didn't get a survey." I just want to say, if you're one of those that didn't get the survey, if you'll just send us an email at communications@comalisd.org, we'll take care of you. These surveys are directly linked to your student ID. And we use the email that we had on file. So also, if you got the survey and you only see one or two of your kids on there, but maybe you have other children that weren't listed, check another email address that you may have used when you registered your child, maybe a spouse's email. What we're finding is sometimes it was in my family that my wife, our youngest is with her email address and the other two are with my email address. So look at that. But if you have any problems, just email us at communications@comalisd.org, and we'll take care of you, and we'll get your selection entered in and take care of you.
Steve, just to also add, I think this is a pre-committal for now, but it's not pre-committal for the entire year.
No, this is really just for the first 9 weeks, for the first grading period.
And by the way, the first grading period is not a pure 9 weeks, by the way, either.
So it's not for the entire year. You're not making a commitment, so you have that opportunity.
And so we'll get a chance to basically recommit every 9 weeks or every grading period, basically.
Right, to come back in.
And and certainly we, I think as perhaps things improve, and we're all praying that things improve, that we may have more kids coming back onto campus, which is what we prefer because we know that kids interacting with our teachers face to face is really the best way to educate. Certainly, we're going to do the very best job possible to improve upon our remote learning processes. But I think it's important to make sure that we believe the best way to educate kids is face to face.
Yeah, and I just want to point out also that we have some of those. Those are some of the things that we have answered on our Comal Parent Center. So parents, if you haven't seen that yet, if you go to our homepage, comalisd.org, right there on the front page is a big banner to our Comal Parent Center where we have lots of frequently asked questions. And so check that out. And
so that'll be a good place for parents. Like, I'm a parent, so I need to go check that out, which I have, by the way. It looks pretty awesome, though, in that regard, the Comal Parent Center. So, and I think, and you're here to midnight checking those things, right?
Answering those questions, and there's a lot of them, and we'll answer. We're going through them, and we'll answer the best that we can. We're not going to be able to answer every email individually, but that's why I want to encourage people to go and look for the updates on the website.
What we're finding is that some parents are still trying to figure out, hey, how do I decide this kind of stuff? You know what I mean? And and I think it's kind of and I don't want to put you on the spot, because I know you got kids in the district, I got kids in the district and so on. And, I got to tell you, I will tell you right now, my oldest, he wants to go to school. And so he wants to be, in fact, he's attending strength and conditioning camp, doing a good job and all that. And my youngest one, he'd rather probably stay home and play Xbox all day long, to be honest with you. But I think, I want him to go. So that's kind of where we are as a family. But I know every family is going to have to make a decision for their kid and make the best decision for their child.
Well, you're right. It is a hard decision, and there's a lot of discussion to be had, and you can weigh the pros and cons on each side. But it's one of those things. I'll just use my example where we have our kids, and we can make an argument to have them go back, and then we could think about, well, we can make an argument to make them stay. And I think that's the great thing, is that there is that opportunity to come. If you make the decision to go remote, you have that opportunity to come back.
Yeah, and there it is. And I think that flexibility is important. But generally speaking, I think consistency for the entire year will be the most ideal situation. But, trying to provide that right now with all the stuff going on, it's very difficult, of course. So we definitely empathize. And, as parents ourselves, we're struggling through just as much about this stuff. And so I can just imagine what parents are going through right now. So, and we have some inside knowledge, but not much. So that's what it is. A lot of the things also coming up, Joe, is this notion of, hey, are you guys prepared, cleaning supplies, and, do you have stuff ready to go and whatnot? So, what's just the numbers of stuff that we have already, our warehouse that we've been stockpiling?
Yeah, so we actually probably realized pretty early on, March really, that we're going to need some of this stuff regardless of, closing out last year, starting up this year. We knew that some of these items were going to be supply chain issues that we were going to have to get ahead of. So our facilities teams, our purchasing department really did a great job to source a lot of materials early on. So things like disposable masks, I'll give you kind of some numbers here. Disposable masks, we're looking at almost 350,000 disposable masks that we have currently sitting in our warehouse. Reusable masks, just over 60,000 reusable masks that are in our warehouse ready for our staff, our students to use should they need those. Gallons, and I'm talking thousands and thousands of gallons of hand sanitizer, new hand sanitizer stations that have been installed throughout the campuses, soap dispensers in the bathrooms, etc. All that has been completely upgraded, not just in terms of the existing ones that were there, but additional stations as well. We're also looking at, specialized equipment for our nurses, our campus nurses, with a little bit more high-grade masks, because they may be dealing with sick students. Potentially some of our special ed staff who may have to have some direct contact with students, having maybe some specialized PPE for them so they can do their job safely as well.
Yeah. And I think we also have a lot of just cleaning supplies too. So,
yes.
The parents don't, I'm not having to go ahead and purchase my own can of Lysol or whatever to bring, or wipes or anything of that nature. We're going to have all of that stuff ready for our parents and our teachers.
Clorox wipes, Lysol. One of the things that we have been really kind of mindful of is picking a right cleaning product that is food safe, that's healthy for our students. So we've selected a peroxide-based product that really you just spray on contact, and on contact after 5 minutes, it's CDC approved to kill anything on that surface. Yeah. So we're really in a good place in terms of the types of products that we've chosen.
Yeah, and so and every teacher, every classroom, every school will have plenty of those, so they can use that.
Yes.
So we're not anticipating. Now, if parents want to, send their kids with some additional stuff, that's fine. If they want to have their own personal hand sanitizer, and in fact, yesterday we talked about this notion of, we're going to send out this addendum school supply list sometime here soon. But one of the things I was kind of curious about is I forgot that, they can't use water fountain.
Sure.
So we're going to try to get every parent to maybe purchase a water bottle.
Yeah.
A reusable water bottle.
Sure. So
that, and then we're actually trying to increase our water bottle stations so that the fountains cannot be used. So that there's enough water and things like that available for kids if they want to obviously hydrate themselves.
Yeah, anything like hand sanitizer that a family wants to purchase. That's additional on top of.
Right.
Surprisingly, one of the hardest things to find right now is just bottles to put hand sanitizer in. So we're sourcing bottles separate.
Yeah, because we have gallons of
big jugs of hand sanitizer, and we're having to source the smaller bottles separately because the manufacturers are having trouble. Getting those bottles themselves.
That's interesting, right? And when it comes to face coverings, if parents and I've seen a lot of emails, positive emails about parents right now purchasing face coverings, these neck gaiters that I'd like to wear. I actually found the filtered bandanas that I've ordered for myself and my kids. So they can wear all those things.
Yeah, there's a lot
it doesn't
of
have to be,
options out
a lot of options out there. But the point about the face covering, though, guys, is that I want to make with both of you guys is that if our whole goal is to have school every day without closing it, if we want to generally do that, then and protect our teachers as they're teaching our children, then wearing the mask is a way to do it. I mean, it's the next best thing to a vaccine at this particular point. Now, if we don't do that, then there is the greater degree of potential of being closed down as a result of outbreaks and so on. So it's a way to say, hey, listen, let's generally participate in the face covering, even for younger kids, because it's a way to have school. It's a way to have as normal routines as possible and protect our teachers and protect our kids.
Yeah. The other thing I'll mention, I've seen a lot of questions out there from teachers. My wife, being a teacher, certainly brings me some questions. So the clear face shields. There's been some conversation. Are those considered an acceptable face covering that can be used? And absolutely, even the so much so that the TEA guidance says they may even be preferred, especially at younger grades. Yeah. So your lips can still be seen. And we have almost over 5,000 clear face shields, but I do know there's vendors out there that are monogramming them and putting your initials on them. So those, just to clarify, those are an appropriate face covering as well.
I did talk with high school principals and some of the principals about making sure that people know that we're going to follow dress code rules about what's on the covering. So appropriate things, right? So we don't want any political statements on those things. We don't want any alcohol, things or whatever, advertisements. But certainly, I've seen some of the cooler ones with our school district or campus logos. Those are pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So hopefully, parents will start getting those. But if you don't have one, we'll have plenty to give out and use for our students. Guys, there's so many different topics, and we're going to come back and talk about in our next podcast episode what is asynchronous and synchronous or live or independent learning looks like in a given day. In the life of a Joe McKenna, in the life of a Steve Stanford as a student, what does it look like? So tune in to the next podcast on that. That's going to be a pretty big, heavy discussion on what that is. But once again, trying to give parents and those listeners out there some of our thinking as they think about all these issues. We're thinking about it just as well. We don't have all the answers, but we appreciate it very much for all the support that we're getting. And please fill out the pre-committal. And once again, you've been listening to Comal ISD Radio. Join us next week as we talk about asynchronous and synchronous learning opportunities.